Hi, my name is Pam Blasco and I'm from Dream Come True Farm. I'm going to attempt to show you how to spin yarn on a spinning wheel. I've done a drop spindle video and I've gotten a lot of feedback where it's helped people accomplish their spinning on a drop spindle. So I thought the next step would be to try to show someone how to start spinning on a spinning wheel. This is my Ashford traditional spinning wheel. It's one of my favorites that I use for spinning. I have a number of wheels, but ultimately I always go back to this one. I have the larger head on it, which spins 8 ounces of wool, so it gives me a lot of yardage. If you're brand new at spinning, I like to have people come in and just get the feel of the wheel. I spin barefooted because I feel that you can feel the wheel much better under your feet while barefooted. So what I do is I have people come in and just treadle the spinning wheel at a nice slow pace, because beginners tend to want to treadle fast. And the problem with that is you can't keep your hands up in the beginning, drafting and spinning. You'll get a lot of over twists. So the key is a nice, even, slower treadle. Now I'm treadling at this rate, and I like to tell people to stop and go. And you want to go clockwise all the time. And I tell them to use their hand to get the wheel going in the same direction, because you need to spin in the same direction, obviously, just like on a drop spindle, or your yarn will spin backwards and spin off the wheel if you go back and forth, which is a common thing when you first start. So you treadle, practice treadling for a few minutes, and then when you think you have that, and it could take 10 or 15 minutes or an entire evening, stop and go and get it going at a nice speed. Then you're ready to start spinning. Now you need a leader line on your wheel, which is just nothing but a piece of yarn. Got a little tangled here. You put the leader line through your eyes on your spinning wheel, or you may just have a hook, and you should have a hook to pull your yarn through with. You put it through the orifice and pull it through, and then you've got yourself a little piece of yarn here. You could make it longer if you'd like. I'm starting with this shorter piece today, but usually I like to have it a little longer. So for ease starting, you can make your leader line a little longer. Then to attach your roving, which roving is a little easier to learn to spin on than raw locks, I believe. It's just my opinion. But you have a nice roving, and you'll draft a little bit of it out, and you can attach it to the leader line by just overlapping and spinning. And just like on the drop spindle, it's going to begin to spin, and it'll catch your roving and put a twist into it. Now you can see I'm going nice and slow, and I actually feel there's a little too much tension on this wheel, so I'm going to loosen it a little bit. Now I'm assuming that you know your wheel a little bit and that you can adjust it, and you've got it set up and you're started to spin a little bit, and this is really just a tips video. So again, we'll start to spin clockwise, and what I'm doing here is I'm drafting out a certain amount of roving, which determines the size of the yarn that I'm going to be spinning. And this is a light worsted weight yarn that we'll spin today. When I draft, I'm actually pulling both hands apart gently. So I'm drafting out the same amount all the time, and I'm letting the twist travel, which I think you can see. And if you can keep up with the twist with your fingers and not let the twist past your fingers, then you'll only spin what you draft out. See, I'm keeping, there's the drafted out part, and I'm keeping up with the twist. I'm traveling with it, and then I pinch it off so that it doesn't spin this big piece and get ahead of myself, get ahead of my left hand, because then it will, I'll get a big slub or a big chunk in it, which at other times you might want if you're spinning a fun, artful type yarn. So we'll get it to go clockwise again, and then you draft slowly. My feet are going fairly slow at a nice pace, a nice comfortable pace, And when I'm pulling, I'm actually going like this. Not that you can really see it that clearly, but that is what I'm doing. So I'm kind of pulling it apart, and I'm trying to pull the same amount out. And then I can stop if I feel that it's getting away from me or I'm getting a little frustrated. Don't feel that you have to. Sometimes I believe beginners feel they have to keep on spinning, that there's no stopping. But stopping to gather yourself up is definitely recommended. So I'm drafting it out slowly. And I'm keeping up with that twist with the forward hand, which is my left hand. And if you're more comfortable doing it the other way, then, see, I'm not that coordinated with doing it that way. But you may be. There's no right and wrong way. Your left hand can be forward or your right hand can be forward. Now, when it comes apart, just like on the drop spindle, what you'll do is you just draft a little bit out, a little bit of fluff out, a little bit of fiber, lay it alongside of the fiber, that existing fiber from the wheel, begin to treadle, and that twist will just twist it together nicely, and it'll stay together if you have enough twist in it. So, drafting slowly, treadling, trying to pull out the exact same amount of drafted fiber each time. When I pull my hands apart, the fiber is actually coming out as it chooses to on this particular roving. This is a nice alpaca soft roving. A lot of times the wool will dictate to you how it wants to be spun. It'll come out thicker, but I can make it heavier and thicker as well, which would be just drafting out more and letting the thicker yarn roving spin, just like this. I'm allowing more fiber to come out of the back hand that's holding it. So now I've gotten a little heavier, and I can even go heavier if I wanted to do a big bulky. And I'm going slow with my feet because I think with beginners it's much better to go slow. Now we'll go back to a little bit of a lighter, and that's, I'm drafting out a little less roving. And you can see I brought my hands a little closer together to do that. So I'm drafting out less roving and making a thinner yarn. Now I'm going to bring my hand back and to draft out a little bit more at a time and make a heavier yarn. So now I've got my heavier yarn. Now back to my worsted yarn. My hands are a little closer together. Now I can go very fine by coming even closer together. And I'm going very fine here, almost what I would call a lace weight. Then back to a nice worsted weight. Basically, it's going to be a lot of practice once you get this. You might get some slubs in there, you might get, which is fine. If you absolutely hate it, stop, untwist it, draft it out to the size you wanted, respin it a little bit, and go back to your spinning. But my tip is, don't worry about the slubs or the irregularity in your yarn at first. You just want to get the technique down. You want to get this drafting down. You want to get the wheel going in the same direction. You want to be comfortable sitting at it. And when you really get used to it, you'll be able to pick up your pace a little bit. And this is about the speed I spin at. So basically, that's what spinning's about. I believe that you need to practice and you need to be patient, and it'll come to you. If you've mastered the drop spindle, you could definitely master the wheel. I have students start with the drop spindle for about a half hour if they come to my farm to learn to spin. I teach them the drop spindle just to get the feel of the wool and this drafting. And my previous video is for drop spindling, and it would help you to learn the drop spindle as well. So after about a half hour of working with the drop spindle, then I move them onto the wheel. And I've taught numerous people to spin, and I think in the last 10 or 12 years, probably only 2 people said it wasn't for them. The rest of the people picked up the spinning and are spinners today. So I'm going at that nice speed, and again, you should pull it apart accidentally, you can just draft a little bit of that fiber out, lay it next to the existing fiber from the wheel, turn your wheel clockwise, and attach your fiber together. Be patient. Stop when you feel a little uptight over what you're doing. Begin when you've calmed down a little bit. And I think that what you're going to see is practice makes perfect. And from there, your next step will be plying, which in the future I'll try to make another video on. So, clockwise, treadling at a nice speed, drafting, trying to draft the same amount out, moving your hands forward, let the wheel take the yarn in. Don't forget to do that. If you hold this out too long, you're going to get a lot of twist in it. If you keep it out here and you keep trying to work on it, and you're going to get some ugly kink in it. If that should happen, you can untwist it a little bit. See, now the kink is gone and it's a nice soft single ply yarn again. Then you would attach it and start all over again. Letting the tension of the wheel pull this in is very important. So you want to draft once or twice and let it pull it in. Draft once or twice and let it pull it in. This is my method for teaching someone. I'm sure there's much more wonderful methods of teaching, but this is my method. Draft twice, let the wheel take it in. The wheel is taking it out of my hands and in. And again, practice makes perfect. When I stop, I pull a little bit out and I wrap it around my tension wheel, or wrap it around anywhere you can on your wheel, so that it's ready to go for the next time. It doesn't fly in. So that's my lesson on starting to spin on the spinning wheel. If you are having trouble, I hope that this video helped you out. I'm always open for questions. My blog is pamsfiber.blogspot.com, where I update what's going on the farm. You could contact me through there to ask me any questions about spinning. I hope to make some future videos, and I really hope this helped you. Happy spinning and happy knitting.